Greetings from the UK. How are you doing? How are you suffering the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune? I was sort of contemplating about this video today. And by the way, I don't use notes. When I was at JW for 40 years giving public talks, I never used notes, so bear with me. A bit of a ramble. The video is entitled Return to Innocence. I chose this title deliberately because when it's uploaded, you may see on the right hand of the screen the song by Enigma, you know how YouTube works, called Return to Innocence. If it doesn't come up, check out Enigma, Return to Innocence, a beautiful track. Return to Innocence. You see, the Messiah, recorded as we know in Matthew 18, said this when the children came to the Messiah to sort of sit on his lap and listen to him. The disciples said, shoo, 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 go away, stop bothering the master. Then in Matthew 18, verse 1 onwards, we'll read these few verses. About that time the disciples came to Jesus and asked, which of us is greatest in the kingdom of heaven? You recall the time when two disciples sent their mother to request the Messiah would seat them, one on the left hand, one on the right hand in the kingdom. And the Messiah said, it's not in my jurisdiction to give you that position. Only my Father can do that. So, verse 2, Matthew 18. Messiah called a small child over to him. He put the child among the disciples, and he said, I assure you, unless you turn around and become as little children, you will never get into the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, anyone who becomes as humble as this little child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Anyone who welcomes a little child like this on my behalf is welcoming me. But if anyone causes one of these little ones who trusts in me to lose faith, it would be better for him to be thrown into the sea with a large millstone tied around his neck. Go swim with the fishes. When you think about how religion has stumbled so many people, like the Watchtower and other cults like Mormons, have made people who were looking for truth become atheists, etc. They will answer for their crimes. Now, I was a witness for 40 years, but I've not become an atheist, I've not lost my faith. We have to realize this important fact. You and I are personally important to God. The problem is, we tend to have this idea we have to go to some kind of building or structure and to gather people around us to get to God, like a mediatorship. I mean, the Watchtower, in their audacity, says the 7 dukes in New York, the so-called faithful and discreet slave governing body, are the mediators between you and me to God. Totally taking Christ out of the equation. Evil men. Messiah said this, come to me, all you who are loaded down, and aren't we all loaded down? Come to me. You see, return to innocence. You know, when you were a child, when I was a child, we were so full of joy of life, weren't we? Climbing in trees, falling out of trees. I remember my youth. I was just no part of any religion. My parents were Church of England, funerals, weddings, christenings, the format. But my joy in life was going to the cinema, for example, once a week on a Saturday, having an ice cream tub with a wooden spoon, and collecting cards, like you used to swap like cards, and collecting marbles. Did you do that in the USA? I don't know. And when you see a child born, a baby, and mothers will relate to this especially, the brightness of the eyes, the laughter of a newborn baby as it awakes to the beauty around it. But as we grow older, our eyes get dimmer. We go to school and we're dumbed down into conformity. We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control. So we become like robots, part of a system. But we have to go back and return to the age of innocence. And when you read the Gospels, for example, Messiah is the perfect example of what it's like to be childlike. When you read the Gospels, he always talked to his Father and said, Father, Father. A beautiful time he said this, Father, I publicly praise you, Lord of heaven and earth, because you've hidden these things, these truths, from the so-called wise and intellectual ones, and revealed them to babes. See, when you look at Christianity, which is the devil's platform, with all these sects in Christendom, you see all these so-called Trinitarian scholars, etc., making you and I believe that God took on flesh and came down and God died. Rubbish. Rubbish. The Messiah, through his youth, was always connected to the Father. I'm pretty sure the Father spoke to him. It's not recorded in the Bible, but you look back at Samuel and Jeremiah. They both had personal voices, through an angel obviously, that connected with those two men in their youth. That's Samuel and Jeremiah. That's why when the Messiah, after being baptized, went into the synagogue and opened up the scroll of Isaiah to chapter 61 as we know it, and said, the Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me. You see, very few people on this earth recognize who Messiah really is. In fact, when he was resurrected, the first person to see him was who? A woman from whom 7 spirits had been cast out by Messiah, Mary Magdalene, and she thought he was the gardener. But then she looked into his eyes and said this, Rabboni, Rabboni. And Messiah said, stop clinging to me, Mary. I've not yet ascended to my Father, but go and tell my brothers that I'm ascending to my God, to my Father, to your God and your Father. And then he appeared through the walls, didn't he? And doubting Thomas was there. And they were all going, imagine that scenario, just picture it. And he said, look, touch me. Put your fingers in the holes. It's me. I'm not a ghost. So, do you realize, folks, the Messiah is now a glorified man. Daniel chapter 7 tells us that someone like a Son of Man was brought to the presence of the Father, the Ancient of Days. To him was given kingdom, dominion and glory. So people's national groups will all serve even him. So we need to get this childlike approach to life. So how do we do that? I think there's nothing more beautiful on earth than seeing a child at bedtime, praying on their knees. What's the first thing you and I do every morning? I mean, I'm not being critical here, I'm talking to myself as well. What's the first thing we do every morning? Facebook? How about this? As we wake up, breathe in the air, go for a walk, but before that, thank the Father that we are alive, that we have a roof over our heads, food in our bellies. Unlike millions of people on this earth, we are so privileged. Just thank Him. That will set the scene for the day. And through the day, talk to our Father. You don't need any building to communicate with our Father. The Messiah said, when you pray, do what? Go to a church. No, He didn't. He said, when you pray, go into your private room, your bedroom, shut the door, pray to your Father in secret. Then your Father, who looks on in secret, will hear you. We have to get this in our heads pretty quickly. You and I can communicate through Messiah to the Creator of the universe. It's also good sometimes at night just to look up, if you're privileged to see the stars, because in this world we live in, the contamination, you can't always see the stars. But when I lived in the country for a while, I used to do that, just lie on the grass and look at the stars, and I thought, wow, oh wow, oh wow. The devil wants to confine us to this concrete jungle. Don't forget, the whole world, 1 John 5:19, lies in the power of the evil one. He's in control of religion, finance and politics. So get this mindset, the eyes of a child, return to innocence, and realize that you and I are personally children of the Father. And Romans 8, then our spirit will cry out, Abba, Father, or more correctly in Hebrew, Avenu. Abba means daddy, daddy. Do we really have that concept that He's our daddy and Messiah is our big brother? So let's open our eyes and breathe in the air. One day soon, contrary to what anyone tells you, the so-called Christian, about going to heaven or hell, forget them. One day soon, this earth will vibrate to perfect, healthy, completely healthy human beings who will wake up to the songs of the birds like Adam and Eve did. What a wonderful time. No money worries. Messiah said, Matthew 5:5, yeah, the meek shall inherit the earth. Revelation 11:18, the Father's going to bring to ruin, destroy all those who are destroying the earth. And we're at that point now where mankind, evil mankind, can do that. That's why we're very close to the end of this age. But as these things start to occur, all these terrible things going on, let's not get our eyes darkened. Realize, Luke 21, as you see these things starting to occur, lift your heads up, stand erect, knowing your deliverance is getting near. Focus your eye on the kingdom. The Messiah said, if your eye is simple, focused on the kingdom, your whole body will be full of light. A paradise earth is what faces us if we connect to it and focus on it. And then the pièce de résistance later on, in that beautiful millennial age, the dead will be resurrected sometime down the road. Can you imagine that? As they wake up, their eyes are opened. So you and I have got to be there, folks, to welcome back those people, to embrace them. What a party. So, return to innocence. Let no one dumb you down. Let no one deceive you with empty words that you've got to go to some other human being or organization to connect to your daddy, your father. Shalom.